chapter 5. Therefore, walk in love, just as Christ also loved you and gave himself up for you, as an offering and sacrifice to God as a fragrant aroma. But do not let immorality or any impurity or greed even be named among you, as is proper among the saints. For there must be no filthiness, or silly talk, or coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather the giving thanks. For this you know with certainty, that no immoral or impure person or covetous man who is an idolater has an inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for it is on account of these things that the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not participate in the unfruitful deeds of darkness. Do not partake of them. For you are children of light. Therefore, walk as children of light. For the fruit of the light consists in all goodness and righteousness and truth, trying to learn what is pleasing to the Lord. Therefore, do not participate in the unfruitful deeds of darkness, but rather even expose them. For it is a disgrace even to speak of the things that are done by them in secret. For everything becomes visible when it is exposed by the light. For everything that becomes visible is light. Therefore it says, awake, sleeper, and rise from the dead, and Christ will shine upon you. Therefore, be careful how we walk, not as unwise men, but as wise, making the most of your time, for the days are evil. So then, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of God is. And do not be drunk with wine, for that is dissipation, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another in songs and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord, always giving thanks for all things in the name of the Lord, to the glory of God, even the Father, and be subject to one another in the fear of Christ. Wives, be subject to your own husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is head of the wife, just as also Christ is the head of the church, he himself being the Savior of the body. For just as the church is subject to Christ in all things, so also wives ought to be to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her with the washing of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she should be holy and blameless before him. So also husbands ought to love their own wives as themselves. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own body. No one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes it and cherishes it, just as Christ also does the church, for we are members of his body. For this reason it says, leave your father and mother, and cleave to your wife, and the two of you shall become one flesh. this saying is great. But I am speaking in reference to Christ and the church. Nevertheless, let each one of you love his own wife, even as himself. And let the wife see to it that she respect her husband.